I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in the history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 5 score years ago, a great American, in whose symbolic shadow we stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregations and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives in a lonely island of poverty in the midst of the vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still not languished in the corners of the American society and finds himself in exile in his own island. So we have come here today to dramatize and shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American must fall ear. This note was not a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on the promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead honoring the sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check which has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity. So we have come to cash a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off to take tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now it's time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial justice in the solid. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. Those who hope that Negro needed to blow off steam will now be content, will have a rude awakening to nation returns to business as usual. There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until Negro granted his citizenship rights. The whirlwinds of revolt continue to shake foundations of the nation until bright day of justice emerges. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking a cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle in high-placed dignity and discipline. We must not allow creative protest to denigrate the physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to majestic rights, meeting physical force with soulful force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a distrust of all white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. And they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. And as we march, we must make a pledge that we shall march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of unspeakable horrors of the police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with fatigue trouble, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as Negro Mississippi cannot vote. A Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied. and we will not be satisfied until justice rose like waters, righteousness like a mighty stream. I am not unmindful to some of you have come here out great trials and tribulations. Some of you have come fresh from the narrow jail cells. Some of you have come areas where your quest for freedom left you battered by the storms of persecutions and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith and unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of northern cities, knowing that somehow this situation will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and lead out the true meaning of its creed. We hold up these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal. I have a dream that one day on the reed hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together in the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state of sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they not be judged. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all the flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I will go back to the south with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out the mountain of despair of stone hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation's beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up in the freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing the new meaning. My country trees the thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing. Land will be that my fathers died, land of pilgrims' pride. From the mountainside, let freedom ring. And if American is a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies, Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that. Let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from the lookout of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from the hill of the molehill of Mississippi. Let freedom from every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, we will let it ring in every village and every hamlet. From every state of every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.